Good morning and welcome to Presence of Light Talks with Charlie Riverman Bergeron here on Humanity Live every Friday at 10 a.m. or within a couple of minutes of 10 a.m. So I'm here and I'm not seeing anybody showing up, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead with the show anyway. Sometimes we have this issue, somebody has arrived, thank you, with technology that can be quite frustrating at times. And I know many of you share that frustration with me. So thank you for showing up. My apologies for being a couple minutes late. I was still writing my show notes, which began at 8 o'clock this morning. At any rate, here we are, and what is going on today is it's March 13th, which is 313. It's Friday the 13th, and I believe it's the first Friday the 13th in the year 2020. 2020 is a very powerful code number, and that's another whole story. But everything that's going to happen in this year is really going to be what we would say blown out of proportion at many levels. And we're going to experience great interchange, as well as the interchange takes hold and space within us, it will also act on everything around us. So it's a unifying process this year that many of us may feel uncomfortable with. And so today's talk was actually inspired by 3 cards I pulled this morning. And as I thought about the number 313, and so I looked up what angel number 313 meant. And I encourage you all to look up that number and tap into the many different explanations of that number. What I came away with is that it reminds us to be positive and loving and trust that we are being guided by energy from angelic and spiritual realms. And so last week, we talked about the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit. And so today, again, here's in alignment with that, the next talk about angelic and spiritual realms. So 313 is about moving forward and letting go of anything that no longer resonates with that movement in your life or in our lives. And it's really about movement. This is what's coming up right now. We see in the world around us so much chaos, and it's presenting itself in so many different ways that it can be overwhelming. It can be frightening. We can go into fear very easily. And fear is a control mechanism. It's a way to shut down our ability to rationally think about anything or to make decisions that are in alignment with our heart, and puts us in this fight or flight syndrome. And when we're there in that syndrome, as many of you know, because we've all experienced it, we become quite helpless. And the first thing we do is want somebody or something outside of us to save us. This isn't in my show notes, but I'm just feeling this coming through. And when we reach that point of wanting to be saved and nothing appears to be happening, we go into a deep depression state. And this whole process is what we've been doing for hundreds and thousands of years. What's happening right now is the energy is shifting so much and so rapidly that we don't have time to feel sorry for ourselves anymore. Because by the time you have that thought, we're moving so rapidly forward. This is the movement of 313. We are moving so rapidly forward that we can't remember it. And so we're on this sort of roller coaster ride of spiritual self encouragement, and of how do we not just look outside of ourselves for the spirit messages, but how do we deepen within our hearts and carry and find those messages that we actually carry within us. And we have carried them within us from the very beginning of our creation. It's just that through our processing of the mind, we've distanced ourselves so far away from this inner peace, this inner light, this inner love, that we no longer know what it feels like, many of us. We're continually generating a new story over and over and over again, which doesn't really fit who we are, why we're here, what we're a part of, what we have always been. And so we become lost. We become the lost children of planet Earth. So this week I'm also tapping into the elemental families and the spirit families deeper in my own path, and realizing that the spiritual nature of our planet is really the spiritual realms of Mother Earth. And how do we tap deeper into that planetary existence, this the divine mother, this planetary mother, who we can't separate ourselves from. We can think we're more powerful. We can think that we have control over the elements. We can think we have control of the weather. We think we can have control. We think. We need to let go of this thinking, because this thinking is what has brought us to this point. And Mother Earth is really sending her signals very loud and very clear, that, as someone said to me, or I heard yesterday, Mother Earth is in control. And when I heard those words, I realized that it aligned with what I was actually feeling. That Mother Earth has been speaking to me for several years, as many of you, as to how we can deepen our relationship with her, and how we can deepen our relationship through the elements and water, air, fire, earth. How do we embrace that? And how do we make that not separate from ourselves, but one with us? That we are one unified presence of divine and amazing, powerful beings. We're not separated. We never have been separated, except by our grand illusions created from this amazing, beautiful human mind. So the first card today is that I pulled was be open to the grandeur of the universe, behind the limit of what it seems. And this is a card by the Soul Inspiration cards by Kalia. And what I really embrace in all of these cards, as I'm called to pull them, is that they all have a way of bringing us into a place of stillness. So what I want us to do at this moment really is to just relax and focus on our breath. inhaling and exhaling peacefully. Just relaxing the flow of your breath and just focusing on that and knowing that as we breathe, we're embracing the elements of air and water just in our breath, and feel that connection to air and water. And don't judge it, don't try to make anything out of it. Just know that this is a connection to the elements, air and water. Just like when we stand on the earth, and barefoot especially, how we're connected to earth. And how actually fire is not outside of us. We think of fire as this flaming inferno outside of us, but the element fire rises within us. It's passion, and it gives us drive to burn away what no longer serves us, and to replant and renew the earthen self within us. This is our connection to the elements. There's never been a separation. No matter what we've been taught, no matter what science has told us, no matter what anybody said, you cannot separate yourself from this planet. And that's the message that Mother Earth is giving to me right now as we look forward at all of the things that are happening and all of the things that are unfolding before us. We're not just some object on this planet. We are an interwoven collective part of this planet and this planetary existence. And the planet can exist well without us, but we cannot live without this planet. And this is what you see when people want to go into artificial intelligence and robots and think about implanting their brain into a robotic being. This is the absurdity that we've come to right now. And this is part of the universal awakening is that we've come to this edge where, are we going to take that next step? Or are we going to realize the gift of what we really have right here, right now, and have always had right here and right now? So flow with your air and your water with ease and grace. Take a breath. When it gets crazy around you, your mind starts, step back, step out of that chaos. Take that breath of air, take that breath of water that comes, and embrace that, and know that there is no separation. And that's an important part of our evolution, is to realize that we're not separate from anyone else. We're not separate from nature. We're not separated by any physicality, any electronic. This is all an illusion that we've created. Yes, there are some physical factors in all of this, but if we stay centered in our hearts, we'll move through this quicker and easier. So it's really about shifting our awareness to a realization of how deeply connected we are, and let go of the fear of the separation and the lack of trust, which we should have a lack of trust in what we have created with our minds, because our minds most of the time have been off in this dream time where they became so infatuated with their own, the mind's ability to create, that we forgot the greater creator, the higher source of our beingness. And that's what we need to tap back into. So the card, the sacred meditation card that I pulled today is spirit guides. And so it follows last week's talk, Gifts of the Spirit. And the message here is, I am guided by many spiritual companions. They quietly lead me on my life's journey. That photo is interesting as I read it. It says, it's the interaction of stars and the massive star that sheds material to create the nebula formed in the ring structure. The burned out core of the massive companion has yet to be found inside of the nebula. Isn't that what's happening for all of us? Is parts of us are exploding and burning off and disappearing. And where are they going when they do that? They're going back into the whole beingness of who we are. But we no longer need those. They no longer serve us. Yet they serve the greater whole on a different level. And just like they can't find them in the nebula, they know that they're going back into the wholeness. Just like when we think about certain things, the parts of ourselves, we can't find them anymore. We can't find that pain or that anger or that frustration or whatever. And you say, I didn't do anything to get rid of this. Why is it gone? It didn't just vanish in and of its own. What's happened is we've tapped into our hearts. And as we tap into our hearts, we release. We provide the release mechanism for things to slip away unconsciously. Because if we focus on them, we're giving them energy and we're holding on to them. But when we let go and then we look back and we say, wow, I had this horrible, my whole life I've had this horrible feeling about such and such. And why don't I feel that way anymore? This is part of our evolutionary process. This is what we're going through. Each one of us uniquely, and depending on our own lifetime existence now and past lifetimes, our genetic DNA programming, which is technically changing into a more crystalline nature. And as it does that, there's no room for all of these distractions. We become clear, we become more clarified, we become more powerful. It doesn't mean that that power is to be used to control others. And this is where we've made our mistakes. We've looked at our powerful beingness and used it to control others, or to try to control planet Earth, or to try to control elementals, or to try and control nature and animals. We were wrong. We were literally wrong. And it's okay. It's okay to be wrong. A lot of good things have happened. So we're sorting now the good from that which is no longer serving the good. And we're coming back into a cohesive field of resonance. Thank you. A cohesive field of resonance that just doesn't happen to us individually, but as it does happen to us uniquely and individually. We find that we're not alone. Somebody else is going through something similar, and it may enhance our ability to shift and change, and we may be able to enhance theirs. And so this is, the message of the spirit guides who are gifting us with this awareness. And so the greater awareness of spirit and elementals who are and will be working on behalf of Mother Earth and us to bring us back into alignment is so very important now. I wrote, the affirmations express that we are not alone on this journey, that the spirits walk alongside us as guides and protectors. For most, it will be a silent communication, yet recognized by synchronicity. And when I say that, we recognize by synchronicity. Synchronicity is a language. When something happens, I mentioned somebody's name, and I hadn't seen them for months, and the next day, they call me. That's synchronicity. That tells us that we are connected into this web of life, that the divine mother planet Earth communicates with the rest of the universe. We're part of that network system. And it happens instantly, not because we're trying to do it, not because we think we need it, but just because we're open. We have less baggage for it to occur through. We're moved through a clearing place in our lives where the synchronicities start happening more rapidly, and sometimes they go away. And that's usually when we're releasing stuff. So look for the synchronicities in your life. Try to attest to say that those synchronicities are me in a clear space. They're a signal for me to say, yes, I'm doing this. I'm clearing and I'm clarifying all of those energies that are holding me prisoner through fear. And that's what it is. We're held prisoner by fear. I wrote, in the direct connection with our Divine Mother and the elementals, we work side by side, hand in hand, spirit in spirit. Not just dwelling on this planetary expression, but tapping into the higher realms and dimensions of it. This is what planetary healing is about. This is what I do as a dowser. This is what I do when I walk on land. This is what I do when I bless the water. This is what each of you do when you tap into that higher self and you become the blesser. And in the moment that we do that, we also become the blessing. Interesting. Wow, time's flying. My goodness. My mouth is running and time is flying. Let's see what I can see you in the sidelines. I want to pay attention to you. So Mother Earth is angry at us. I'm going to say no, Mother Earth is not angry at us. But Mother Earth is still in control. And Mother Earth is telling us that we've run it's like a mother who says, okay, children, enough. Now I'm coming back into control, and here we are. This is what's going to happen, and I'm not judging you, I'm not punishing you. However, I'm going to restore my presence because you've hit me too hard in my heart. Okay? And so this is the divine feminine in action. This is why it's so important now to call in the divine feminine within yourself, especially for the males who have exaggerated masculine energy, divine masculine energy. It isn't about conquering and warriorism and power. It is, but it has to be tempered with a divine feminine energy that each one of you carry, whether you want to admit that or not. And it doesn't make you a sissy, and it doesn't make you less than powerful. It actually makes you more powerful because you can embrace whatever you do with compassion, with love. And this is what we're doing, is we're running around like little children who, me, 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 me. And you can look at what's going on in the world today. People are greedily grabbing toilet paper and storing it and denying somebody else the right to have it. It's all about me. And it's a perfect showing of how insane we have become. Not because we're bad, but because we forgot that we're connected to this planet. And we can never separate from this planet, no matter what you do. You can build your castles, you can build your spaceships. You're not going to get away. It's not going to happen. That's a dream, that's an illusion. I pulled a card, an angel card was the last card I pulled. And the card is Remlio. And you can see here's an angel, a group of angels working. And Remliel is it's from Kimberly Maroney, is one of Mother's angels. And I thought that was just unique to think, wow, I'm not truly trying to do this, but here's Mother's angel, Remliel, coming forward to speak to us today. And Remliel represents awakening. And that was the word on the card, awakening. If I can get that. Yeah, awakening. There it is, awakening. What are we doing right now? We are awakening. We're awakening to the truth that has always existed. The truth that was buried beneath our greed and beneath our self aggrandizement is the word, of thinking we are far more powerful than the elementals. We are far more powerful than Mother Earth. We are far more powerful than the sun and the moon and the stars from which we came. We came in the waters of the stars. No water, no life. No water, no humans. No water, no plants. No water. So here we are. I'm thinking this grand illusion that we're this powerful, giant, we are more powerful. Let it go. Let it go. Remliel represents awakening. And the first words in that reading were, sleepers awake. I'm going to put that down here in the words down below, because this is a powerful message. Sleepers awake. I don't know where it went. Oh yeah, did it go? It did. Okay, good. I can have to figure this out. I'll be 100 years old doing this, and I won't figure it out. Sleepers awake. So think of us all as sleepers, and we're having this dream, and what we've created is this dream, and we're living in that dream. But know in your heart that the essence, the writing in the word in the card was, the essence of what we all seek is divine love and freedom from pain and suffering. And if we think about that, we realize that we are the ones who have created most of the pain and suffering for each other. And if we have the power to create it, we have the power to not create it. It doesn't mean we have to go around and try to correct it. Just by stopping and taking a moment before we act or react to something and asking ourselves, will this create pain or suffering for someone or something? Just that one moment. Will what I'm doing create pain and suffering? And we'll realize that a lot of things are unavoidable. But as we go through this process, we also learn that there are many things we don't have to do in the same way. The way that will create pain and suffering. And we can choose to say, either not do it or to try to find a way, if we have to do this, that will be beneficial on some level. This is who we are. We're creator beings. Remliel is the awakener. Remliel is the awakener who clarifies what is light and what is illusion. And that's what each of us have to do, is to wake up to what is light in my life and what is illusion in my life. We're now awakening to multiple levels of our divine self. Waking up to multiple levels of our divine self at a pace which is just a little beyond our conscious ability to comprehend. just a little bit. We're here, it's just a little bit ahead of us. But it becomes the attractor field that pulls us out of the darkness, that pulls us out of the greed, that pulls us out of the selfishness. It's always a little ahead of us. And the elementals, Mother Earth, and the spirit guides are keeping it just a little ahead of us. Like a little tease, like the bait. The fish follows the bait. If you reel in, it'll follow the bait. It may not bite, but it will follow it. Because what it is, it's an attractor field. It's an attractor field that says, this is sustenance. This is what will sustain me on this higher level of my journey. This is what will pull me out of the mud so that I become the lotus that blossoms. As I wrap it up, awareness and enlightenment is rapidly altering our human ability to slip into denial and remain powerless. I don't want to be powerless anymore. You don't want to be powerless anymore. We don't want to live in fear or denial. Many things we could not see before or feel before are becoming less frightful and less painful because we're allowing them to slip into the jet stream behind us. The word revelation is not one where what is revealed will harm us, but allow us to rebuild our etheric as well as our physical structures to align perfectly with the divine plan of creation. Doesn't that feel better to align with a divine plan of creation? That's what we're doing. We're coming back into alignment. Doesn't matter how you express it. Leaving dimensions, journeying into new paradigms. It's all happening. And we have very little ability, although we may go kicking and screaming, to deny the truth of who we really are now. All of which does not align will be left behind. The more ourselves behind, to just not ourselves, to not just listen, but act upon spirit guidance. All we have to do is trust and receive through our hearts. Letting go of the mind chatter, which is now becoming more fragmented and distorted as the new energies no longer support it. And that's all that's happening. There's no support for all these ideologies, all of these structures and platforms we've created in this paradigm experience. And this is a quote from a Handbook of Angels to end us for today. And it's letting go of the mind chatter, which is now becoming more fragmented. And I read that, I'm sorry. We will emerge from this into the light and our mental processes will adapt, even if reluctantly, to the new presence each of us will represent, with a clear and crystal intense awareness that penetrates all details of creation. So here we are on the threshold of newness, and at the same time rooted in fear and suffering. What do you choose? I think each one of you will choose to take a new look at what's going on around you, Tap into the spiritual self, the spirit self, which is connected to so many other assistants, be it dimensional, spiritual, within the earth, elemental, doesn't matter, but all who are now ready and willing to assist us in changing our conscious awareness to the fact that we are not alone. We have never been alone. And just because we make rules and laws doesn't mean that we're in charge. Mother Earth is in charge. The Mother Earth is going to show us the way to co-create a whole new paradigm existence. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I apologize for the probably inconsistency in my talk today. As this was coming through, I was absorbing it and tapping into it newly, just like you. And my notes got all scrambled, and that's okay. I'm still human, and so are you. And we're in this together. Know that as we gather together, we are far more not only powerful, but beautiful. Tap into Mother Earth. Ask her what she would like to say to you. Tap into the elementals and the elements. Ask them what they might like you to do. They won't give you information that is in error. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. Together, we are unity. Have a blessed week. Try not to let the fears rise up as to what's going on around us with viruses and financial chaos, because they're not what's important. What's important is your heart and your soul to come back into the presence of light that you are. And I am complete now. Thank you very much for being here, showing up. Share it out if you will, if you thought it was worthy. I just do this because I love you all, and I want to be a part of this new co-creation. Thank you. Bye-bye.